Hello, everybody. I just wanted to pop on here really quick and do another little personal update, personal health message. I know that I mentioned at the beginning of the February readings that I had not been feeling very well. Turns out I really was not well at all. For those of you who know my journey from last year, I was diagnosed with lupus and went through full-on kidney failure last year, went through dialysis, the whole like immunosuppressant therapy, everything. Healed up really fast, got better, everything was great. Moved down to Mississippi, everything was great, everything was going really, really well. And then everything sort of came back, and it came back worse. like a lot worse, like a lot worse. And it was more like a full system shutdown, kidney failure again, heart issues, lung issues, hypertension. They called it stroke and aneurysm level blood pressure levels, causing migraines, seeing spots, the whole thing. So I was in the hospital for a significant portion of February, and it's been a little bit brutal for me. Not gonna lie, it's been kind of brutal. But I'm home now and I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to get my energy back. I just wanted to let you guys know where I've been. It's been like a really tough month. I wanted to just kind of go through my little astrology for those of you who care or who are interested in kind of what my astrology and my stars are doing health-wise. I wasn't expecting the Venus retrograde to be so brutal, and it's not just Venus retrograde, there's like 10 other things, but I wasn't expecting it to be so brutal for me, but it was extremely brutal. I remember saying at the beginning of that transit, saying, look, this is where we have that opportunity to acknowledge where we are naive. We have to confront the stories that we're telling ourselves. We have to confront what it is that we are avoiding, or that we are, not quite totally up to date on within ourselves. And for me, that was definitely like, well, you know what? I know you've healed a lot. You've learned a lot. You've done, the Anthony Williams stuff, the Gabor Mate stuff. You've done Joe Dispenza stuff. You've done all the meditations. You've done the mindfulness. You've done the diet. You've done the detox. You've done the changes. But that there's, a lot left to go in my healing journey. So that was my naivete. I ignored the symptoms a little bit longer than I should have because I didn't recognize them, because they were so different than what I was last year. It was completely a totally different thing. I had no idea that what I was experiencing was another lupus flare, not a clue. So it was shocking when I went to the urgent care and they were, checking my blood pressure, and they're like, you have to go to the emergency room like immediately, and you can either drive yourself or we have to get, a bus, but like you have to go to the emergency room. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I came here for, I thought I had, COVID or a virus or something. And they're like, no, like, this is not what this is. You have to go to the emergency room. And it was kind of just another whirlwind of, sedation and biopsies and scans and all sorts of wonderful things. So it's been a month. But yeah, let's go ahead and I'm just going to pull up my chart. Hope you guys don't mind. We're going to do this. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, actually, before we pull up the chart, I'm just going to let you guys know that the Pisces readings, or the March readings, are going to be put out just one video at a time. I don't know that I'm going to have the energy to like sit down and do all 12, like full concentration. I still have private readings that I need to get done as well. So we're going to do privates, and we're going to do, maybe Pisces first, and then we are going to move on into Aries, and then Taurus, and then Gemini, and we'll just do them all in order, but probably one per day or one every other day or whatever, and it will just be kind of an annoying month, and I'm really, really sorry about that. I just, I have to, I can only do so much at this point. So I just want to let you guys know on that. If you want to order a private reading, just know that it's going to be delayed. And I don't have any idea as to when I'll be able to, I can't guarantee like a delivery time, but I will deliver. So I think that was it. That was my only other little quick note. So let's go ahead and take a look at the stars. Alrighty. So I don't know how useful this is going to be. This is really just for me, if I'm being totally honest. This is me just sort of, leaning into this astrology language, looking at the cycles, looking at time frames, and just sort of feeling some solace here. That's what this part of the video is. For those of you who are curious about how I would analyze my own chart, this is my own chart. So I'm using Equal House system as my favorite system, more so than Placidus, but whatever. So we have a few things going on transit-wise, but just overall in my natal chart, there are some indications that this situation would have been, would have manifested at some point. Now, the main focus for what I'm going through right now, I'm stage 5 kidney failure, so I'm on dialysis. I've got my catheter here on my neck, lovely. But kidneys is ruled by Libra, right? Libra, Venus the ruler. I'm a Libra rising. And I have my Venus over here in Leo in a square with Saturn. Now, Saturn obviously creates a lot of issues. Let's just call a spade, right? As much as I would love to gush on the good things that Saturn can bring in our life, we also know that Saturn can bring a very real harshness to life as well. He is the epitome of being in this physical world. And he takes a long time for things to truly manifest. In fact, he's the last planet, according to Vedic astrology, to truly mature. He matures at the age of 36, meaning that's usually the time when we start to really understand our Saturnian energy in our life. We start to understand our restrictiveness and our resistance and things like that. At the age of 36, we can tend to build a lot better from our Saturnian energy. So it makes sense that something is coming to a head for me at the age of 36. Now, last year, when I went through this before, I was a little bit more optimistic about things. I was feeling a little bit more, just positive about growth and healing and learning. I was very excited to learn about how I can, truly heal. This year, I'm not feeling so, I'm still optimistic. I'm still, keeping my mindset right, but it's still just a little bit more utilitarian. Let's say it that way. It's more like about okay, what can I do? What can I do beyond what I've already done? Because I've already done so much, so many lifestyle changes, so many dietary changes, so many, integrations of juices and lemon waters and, all these, incredibly wonderful natural things which have helped so much, I think. But, there's that question of what can I do? So the utilitarian quality is very strong for me right now. So that's just one little thing in the natal chart that would indicate, some issue there. In terms of transits, now Venus, again, a lot of focus on Venus right now because not only was it a Venus retrograde in Saturn-ruled Capricorn. So whenever there's a Venus-Saturn thing going on, I really feel that a lot. So this was a big transit for me. Not to mention, again, Vedic astrology kind of concept. I'm pulling from Vedic here. The Lord of the 7th house, which for me in my Western chart, sorry, I'm kind of mixy-mashy right now. It's fine, but it still makes sense. It still works. The Lord of the 7th house, Aries, Mars, coming into a conjunction with Venus, really adding to that really aggressive retrograde energy, adding to the aggressive Saturnian energy, the aggressive Plutonic energy. I'm going to tell you something. When I was in the hospital, I never, ever, ever had this thought before, ever in my whole life. But I was like, this is what's going to kill me. Like, that's how bad it was. That's how painful it was. Like, this is what's going to kill me. And I started feeling like, okay, I got to get like my will in order. I got to figure out, put my house in a trust. I got to like do, the grown up stuff. And I got to, I got to get this stuff organized. Like, I was thinking so much about death here because it felt like that. Not that I was going to die, but like that this is what's going to kill me. So if I don't, like next time, if it happens next time, it's going to be worse, So I think that was kind of like what my mind was really going through. And Mars really adding to that aggressiveness. Not to mention that earlier this year when Jupiter was starting to come through Pisces, it was also in opposition with my natal Mars over in Virgo as well. So here's Jupiter over here. Here's my natal Mars over here. So a lot of Mars energy coming to a head as well. Last year, when this happened, Mars was coming into Gemini. The north node in Gemini was coming on top of my Chiron at 14, 15 degrees, whatever it was. So there was this culmination of the north node, Mars, and Chiron. And I think that was sort of an introductory to kind of expose the wound, right? There had to be an exposure last year, and that's what that was really all about. And now this year I'm having to really do something about it, to really deal with it, and to go deeper in the research and to go deeper into the understanding. But yeah, this Venus retrograde with the Venus, Saturn, with the Mars, and with the Pluto, and not to mention the Mercury retrograde that was happening as well. And Mercury also being my ruling planet as a Virgo, there was just this right whenever Mercury goes retrograde, it's like a re-evaluation or a reanalysis or you have to redo something, and Mercury was involved with the Venus retrograde degrees. So the aggressiveness with the Mars, the activation, the power, and not to mention fourth house. Now, fourth house is not the same type of healing as the sixth house. Fourth house has a lot to do with more emotional healing, but it is still healing nonetheless. And so I think that there is still a lot of emotional purge from past, relationships, past stress, past whatever. There's still a lot of purge that I need to go through that is also kind of culminating as well. So it's not just physical, obviously. There's a lot of spiritual and emotional things going on with that as well. Also last year, right, end of 2020, really, Saturn came into Aquarius and did the grand conjunction with Jupiter. That was in a square with my Pluto, South Node, Moon, and Saturn. And right now, Saturn is coming into a square with my Moon and my natal Saturn as well, right? So we have 16 degrees Moon, 23 degrees Saturn right here, boom, in Scorpio. We've got the square going on all year because, of course, Saturn is going to come forward and then retrograde back right on my Saturn and then come back again and move into Pisces next year. I'm a little bit worried about Saturn moving into Pisces because that will come into an opposition with my natal Mars as well. And now I'm a little bit hesitant and a little resistant with Mars energy. I don't really, sometimes I get really excited about Mars because I have a 12th house Mars and it's kind of weak and I don't always feel, a really energized type of person. So normally when I have Mars, especially Mars, Uranus stuff, I get very excited because I'm like, oh, I'm going to have energy this week. I'm going to have that sort of supercharged. But I am a little bit hesitant, a little bit nervous about that particular transit happening at the beginning of 2023. But we'll deal with that when it happens. For now, I think this Saturn is really saying, look, you have to restructure a lot, right? You have to create, being in the fifth house, you have to create some kind of a new structure of your life. And you can't go backwards, right? Saturn in a square with Saturn, you can't go backwards. You have to push forward. What's interesting about this particular aspect, right? This is kind of like a waxing quarter Saturn, right? Saturn here kind of building. And whenever we have that first quarter energy, there's always some kind of power to it. There's always, like people who have first quarter moons in their chart, they're usually like really successful because they have this passion, they have this drive because they're like in this beginning stages of all of this creation, and they can just go and build and move, and they have this capacity to bear a lot. And I feel like this is kind of what the universe is asking me to do a little bit, is to bear a lot of the responsibility for this healing. And I don't know that there's going to be any one expert, right? I have to kind of go to a lot of different places for the testing, and I got to go to a lot of different kinds of doctors or naturopaths or whomever, just to help round everything out. Because if I go through any one single or one simple tunnel, it's not going to be holistic. And this is the goal is holistic here. So we have that squaring going on for me, not to mention Saturn also coming into an opposition with my natal Venus. Again, another Saturn-Venus situation. So, I mean, I think we can all kind of look at this just in the most basic sense. Even Chiron over here, over in Aries, aspecting the first house, which is the house of the body. Again, healing, Chiron, but Chiron always has to expose first. So you have to expose the wound, you have to expose the pain, and then you can heal. And last year was the initial exposure. This year was the naivete, and hopefully next year it will be better. Hopefully it will be better. I mean, there are like so many other things I could talk about, but I don't want to waste everybody's time. Neptune coming into an opposition with my natal sun has been also very draining as well. And Pisces, Neptune, immune system, confusion, not knowing. And I'm going to tell you guys, again, I had no idea that what I was experiencing was a lupus flare. I had no idea. I really did think, I was like, I'll get better, right? Like, no, like, I've got my natural stuff. If I can do this, if I eat really, really well, if I do it like this, if I do, did not help. None of it helped. It just got worse. It just kept getting worse. And I think I was just in so much denial, right? Because there's that line between optimism and denial. You can be very optimistic and you can be, progressive, but there also comes that certain point where you're like, yeah, but I'm actually not getting better. The problem's not getting fixed. It's not moving in the right direction. So, and for whatever reason, I've never been one of those people that says, oh, I'm sick, I'm going to go to the doctor. Like that's never, ever, ever have I ever done that. And so now I'm like, well, if I'm sick for like a couple of days, like I have to go to a doctor now, and it's weird because that's not really how I want to live my life. So I'm trying to like get as healthy as possible so I don't have to be doing that. But yeah, there's a definite strain on my vital energy right now for real. And even though I'm on the pharmaceuticals, they're not really making me feel tip top yet. And I'm still kind of building up to that. And dialysis, of course, is a little bit tough as well. So a lot of energy drainage here going on with Neptune opposite my sun. And Jupiter, of course, not necessarily helping with that. I thought Jupiter through Pisces for me was going to be like super positive and it was going to be really, really great health-wise. But it actually just magnified the way that Jupiter can. It just simply magnifies things that already exist. So he's coming out, he's adding power to something that was not quite dormant. So that's kind of where I'm at. I have to just laugh at this point because it's, it was so brutal. And yet I'm still here, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm at home, I'm with my cat, my mom is here, we have family. My father came out and helped me put together a makeshift kitchen so that I can actually cook properly on like a stove, while my kitchen remodel is, delayed. But yeah, and I'm looking at this nodal return, I'm like, wow, like, you don't really understand some of these transits until you really go through them. I'm not technically to the actual nodal return yet, but I can feel like something is really shifting for me. Work-wise, even with the tarot and the astrology and everything, I'm like, maybe there's a shift for me coming up. Maybe it's a shift more, I don't know in what capacity yet. I'm not trying to judge this or trying to project too much into the future right now, but there's likely a shift or a change for me work-wise coming for sure. So anyway, just a little analysis, my own analysis to bring me some peace for things. So anyway, I'm going to leave you guys with that. I just wanted to let you know where I've been, what I've been going through, and to let you know why the Pisces readings have not been out, why the weeklies and the astrology weeklies have not been out. That is why. And I might not be able to get to them until like April. So anyway, I'm going to leave you guys there. Thank you so much.